Hi, everybody. Leanne and Mason here. Hi, Mason.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Different Perspectives with Leanne and Mason Holitza. Here we discuss our differing viewpoints through the lens of energy work. Today, we will be discussing our favorite energy healing techniques and what it was like getting treatments from healers as a kid when Mason was able to have access to healers that most kids didn't go to. Myself, Leanne, has a background working in business before I found my true path and transitioned into energy work. And I'm currently the owner of the Healing Studio in Broomfield, Colorado, where I work as a healer and a teacher. You can find more about me at insightfulinspirations.com. Mason, my son, has had the unique opportunity to be raised in a subtle energy aware household where more than meets the eye is not only validated but encouraged to explore. He's currently a student journalist at CSU. You can find his current work on the Rocky Mountain Collegian. What's the latest article you wrote?
The latest one, I'm not sure if it's gotten published yet, but I wrote one last week about, one of them was about how religion and politics
Oh,
and how politics and religion don't mix.
interesting. Okay. All right. Well, so hi, everybody who's watching or listening to us, whether you're listening live or after the fact, we always welcome your comments or questions or ideas for topics. Today, we are going to talk about, as I said, our favorite energy healing techniques. I don't know if I could pick a favorite except for, like definitely have different uses for different things. But Mason and Jack, my other child, grew up getting a lot of, hello, Melissa. They end up getting a lot of modalities done to them that maybe wasn't done for typical for children. I personally actually do have a pretty good clientele of kids that come to me. And I think it's great that their parents are open to being able to bring their kids to me. And sometimes they're bringing them to me because they don't understand what their kid is going through and their kid is experiencing some psychic phenomenon and they're trying to understand it. And sometimes people have come to me and had success with me and then brought their kids in. So I
Well,
do work on kids. I don't think I worked on you guys really.
you taught us a lot of techniques.
Yeah. Can you give me one example?
Well, I wanted to first ask how you were introduced to it. Like, what was your first experience with like a healer? Was it like the psychic shop down the street, or was it something a little bit more?
That's a good question. So, your grandma would go to psychic mediums and your grandma would go to this one and she I think I was brought to her. I don't remember it. I don't recall it. But I don't think she was really a healer. I think she just was a seer. Um, and then when I was a teenager, one of my friend's moms took us to a psychic, which was interesting. And then, yeah, I mean, I think over time, maybe psychic fairs at first, or metaphysical shops. And then just kind of, going from there. I definitely, when I was a kid, would go to the library and like check out meditation books and, subtle energy. I was interested in that stuff when it was, not really mainstream. So
But nothing like all of the different stuff I got done.
no way. That stuff is expensive. Yeah, no. I don't think I was actually, I'm trying to even think of like the first time I got a healing for that was like non-traditional. I mean, my mother's fairly Western medicine. So, but I think we had a nice combination in our family of like Western medicine interventions, psychological therapy interventions, and healing. I don't think we just
I,
went all off the rails on that.
I think that it's just taking taking a step back and not being like, this is the only answer. This can be the only answer. It's more like, well, that some of this works and some of that works, and you need the best of both.
Yeah, I do know that we are very non-physical in a lot of levels, so having non-physical healing is helpful. But I definitely think I mean, it's a combination, right? If you slice your finger open, go to the emergency room. You probably can't call your Reiki practitioner. Well, you could on the way to the emergency room and say, "Hey, send me some healing juju because I just cut my finger open." But so it doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that a lot of the work that I got done at all those metaphysical fairs, because that's really the first way I was really introduced to it, was when you were first getting your business going, and we were going down to, where is it? There's always that same convention center that we're always going to.
Yeah, the Denver Merchandise Mart.
And they always have such cool little, I don't know how to describe them.
It was the Mind Body Spirit Expo is what we were going to.
And we got like aura pictures done, and they did a bunch of different tests on us, and then we would just sample all these different healing techniques, and it was so fun.
Yeah, and you're funny because you got all kinds of extra attention because people were like, "Oh, his light is so bright." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So you liked going to those things because people were like, "Oh, Mason." Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an intense thing. And I think a lot of that was for entertainment purposes, which, I mean, I think that you can have psychic healings for entertainment purposes. And I know a lot of times people put that disclaimer so that they don't get in trouble with, certain things. Colorado has some laws about being able to see alternative healthcare practitioners or practitioners. I don't even call them healthcare practitioners, just practitioners for whatever. And it's your choice to see those alternative people, which I appreciate that Colorado has that, because there are actually some places where what I do is not legal.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of states where it isn't, where right. It's not illegal, but you couldn't get a business license.
Well, and it actually, there is some places where it is illegal.
Like where?
Or you have to call yourself an entertainer.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff I got done there was like very much entertainment, but we heard some tall tales while we were at those places. Like some of the stories were just way out there.
So, like, what do you mean?
Like there was one, like there was the guy who, I don't know if I want to say the company names, but
yeah, don't say the company name. Just say.
But he was sampling us some kind of like lotion and stuff, and he was telling us the story of this guy who he watched get open heart surgery done on him, and they were using no tools, just their hands. And he said that the guy was just fine, and he was dying before, and he was fine after. And that was one of the crazy.
I think that's John of God is what he was talking about, which is Oprah's covered John of God. But I think he's actually gotten into some hot water about some things right now. But yeah, supposedly, I mean, I've obviously not witnessed it. So allegedly he can perform surgery without anesthesia or proper tools and just carve tumors out of people and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's some pretty crazy, miraculous healing stuff that can happen.
And there's two sides to that part where there's like the big, huge crystal places, and then there's little tiny one, and you can see like the commercial versus the person who's doing it because they really enjoy it.
True. Yeah. Like being able to, like at my studio, like all the stuff that's in there is like me hand picking and saying, this has good energy. Which has got me into a bit of trouble. I have a little too many things running around the building at this point, but,
that's my fault.
I know it is. Some of that is your fault.
You invite me to these conferences with you, and then I'm like, we should get that. And that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember the Sedona rocks?
Yes. I love those things.
Yeah. Tell the story. Nobody else knows it.
If I can remember all the details, but I just remember we went into this little rock shop, and the guy was like, these two are really powerful. And we picked them up, and we were like, we have to have them.
You guys were insistent. I was like, they're like $400. And you were like, we have to, they're very powerful. And then we bought them, and we were in Sedona. So we had to get on a plane, and you were all worried about where where the rocks were and making sure that they were in a safe place and nearby.
I always remember them, and I come and find them whenever I'm at your office.
Yeah, lots of people like them, and I have never found any like them. I have tried, and they're very unique. So, yeah, but so okay, so metaphysical fairs, metaphysical shops. I mean, I worked at a shop, so you were there. Um, and I mean, we've explored, like we've been to Sedona, things like that. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean,
A lot of the stuff that I've gotten done from people just passing through your office too.
right, right.
Um,
Yes, the healing studio.
yeah, and there have been some times where we're just hanging out with some healers that you know, and they're like, "Here, let me practice on you."
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
Well, and do you have a good story to tell about it, that? Is there any time when
I think that it was with Gail where I had the most like, wow, this really does something to me. Because
so Gail Smithson, just for everybody's background, he owns the Smithson Clinic. This was not a hey, let me practice on you thing. This was Mason was getting, I was paying for Mason and Jack and myself to be worked on. So just give you a little background that he can work remotely. I do believe he's still in practice. He doesn't practice at the healing studio anymore just because it's kind of far down the road. But tell more about your experience with, I think it's called neuromodulation technique, NMT.
well, I'm not sure all how he does it, which I don't think I'm supposed to, but he does a bunch of stuff on his computer, and he will have his hand on your arm, and he'll just be tapping very subtly. And
Which is he's muscle testing, is what I believe.
and I don't know what he's doing, but every single time, within 5 minutes, I am out cold.
Well, and so then, okay, so you're out cold, then what?
And yeah, Melissa, I'm always up for that.
Go ahead, say out loud what just happened.
Melissa said, Mason, I want you to try sound and vibration therapy.
Yeah, get in on that one. You haven't tried that one yet. I mean, we actually did when you were a kid because of some of your modulating issues. You did some sound therapy where you listened to headphones. Do you remember that?
And then they stuck little nodes.
No, there's no nodes.
Yeah, they had like a little sticky putty, and they would stick those little things to my head, and I would try and fly a ship through.
Oh, that was neurofeedback.
See, yeah. I know everything you can do.
Yeah, and that was different than the sound therapy where you would listen to the music that kind of had weird like tones to it. Yeah. See, we've done a lot of things to you, haven't we, Mason? Trying to help you with your ADHD and stuff.
But I would try and physically keep myself awake in those sessions, and I couldn't.
But okay, so you fell asleep. But what did you realize as a result after?
I would wake up and I would feel like I had just taken an 8-hour nap.
Okay.
I would feel like refreshed, and I don't know how to describe it. It was just the one where I would feel the most change in my brain afterwards.
Okay. Well, you better keep Smithson Clinic in mind then for when next time you need it. I think it really helped your brother with his allergies. Because your brother was having really bad time with his allergies, and after he did that, he was better. I mean, and we tried other stuff. We tried all kinds of other things, including biofeedback. I don't know if you ever did biofeedback. I don't think you did with the skio machines or anything, or homeopathic stuff. But
biofeedback.
Yeah, I don't know. But okay, so you felt the most change there. I know you do like coming and seeing like Michelle to have her stretch you out and things like that at the studio.
It's painful. You feel very stretched afterwards.
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly energy healing, it's like physical healing, but it's good technique to get kind of into the fascia really does hold a lot of information. So
and
yeah.
Everyone that I've gotten work on from your office has, like, some of it is very much like you come out and you feel a little bit exhausted because you just did a lot of energy work instead of being worked on. And I would say that that's really helpful, but I think you don't feel that relief afterwards. But I
Yeah.
think that's the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say if you work with me, for the most part, you don't necessarily feel relief. I feel like there's a lot of information that comes out that gets stirred up that then you have to face, that actually is kind of intense. Um,
Well, with what you do, it seems a lot more likely because
mhm.
you're really pulling at somebody to get them to open up, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is definitely I'm looking in somebody's subconscious energy fields and I'm watching energy move or not move, get stuck, and I kind of speak to that, whatever's going on there. Um, yeah, so I'm trying to think of, I mean, you definitely, yeah, I'm trying to think of what else you kind of, you definitely don't totally love yoga.
It's because I think that's not really a physical thing because I love the way it makes me feel afterwards. It always feels very relaxing, but I think it's just getting myself into that space is very difficult.
Yeah, I have that problem too. Getting into the space of doing it. What about meditation?
Meditation's a lot easier because you can do it anytime. And I think that's why I can just be sitting in my car and I'd be like, okay, I can meditate for a little bit.
Do you meditate or sleep?
Meditate. Well, I feel like I think that you can even meditate when you're doing something that you do every day, like driving. Like I could be on I-25 for 45 minutes.
Oh no, I don't know if I want to know this. You're meditating on I-25.
But no, it's like I feel safe enough, but like I'll just be driving down I-25, and if I'm in the same lane for a long time, I'll just be in my own space.
Well, hopefully you're being mindful. Hopefully you're practicing mindfulness driving.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to know that you're meditating while you're driving down the road. Oh my goodness.
I would say like the shower is also another like place where you can meditate very well.
Yes, says my water bill when you come to visit. Uh, so, is there any healing techniques that you didn't like or that you felt wasn't good to be exposed to as a kid?
No, I don't think so. One of the ones that I really didn't connect with that much was tarot readings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always thought that they weren't like maybe the people I went to because I went to a lot of card readers at fairs that seemed to be trying to get a reaction or they were trying to come up with some answer that they thought I was looking for.
Interesting. So they were maybe trying too hard.
Yeah, I think they were reaching a little bit too.
Well, I mean, those fairs don't have to be. I mean, you don't have to try out. You just pay for a booth, right? So you don't necessarily. Nobody's guaranteeing your skills.
Yeah.
So and I do think there's a wide range of people out there with whatever skills. Even the stuff that's like Reiki and things like that, and everybody's different too. Every energy healer is different. Like right now we've got a clinic going on where a couple of my graduates are offering sessions for at a discounted rate than what if you came to me, but they're trained under me, but they're going to be very different than me, even though they're trained under me, and they use similar techniques to me, they're still going to be different.
I mean, I guess I don't have any kind of baseline because I've never gotten a reading from you. But
I know. Well, your friend did. What did she say?
very good words, lots of very nice words about it, and that it was better than a therapy session. So
I do hear that sometimes. I mean, I'm not discounting therapy because I totally love therapy and I think you can get benefits from therapy. But is a benefit sometimes to just having somebody be able to go in and go boop, 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 boop. Oh, I see this, I see that, I see,
yeah.
And clear it out super fast.
I guess that I'm just not a big fan of future telling stuff.
Yeah, I try to stay away from that as well because I feel like you can declare something to be true and actually make it true.
That's what I was going to say. You lay out a deck of cards and one of them says something that you're worried about or you're fearing. then, and it says that this is going to happen, then I think you make that come true.
Yeah, I think that there's a big risk to predictive stuff. I mean, like astrology can give you some insight, but you're still interpreting and until you get there. Now, I do that weekly oracle card reading that's for the week and it's not necessarily predictive.
It's
It's
like,
more like this is the energy of the week and this is what to look out for. It doesn't necessarily say this is what's going to happen.
yeah.
In fact, I'm always kind of curious after I do it. I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah. So you've never like experienced, I mean, like you've had acupuncture and the 5-element acupuncture.
Oh, okay, but I don't know if this is just a different thing or maybe it's the energy work, but the hot and cold stone stuff that I do.
Ooh.
I really like that.
Did you get hot and cold stones from Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her mountain river therapy she does. That's really, yeah. Yeah, and that's good for the nervous system and kind of calming things down, especially if you're, tending to run high. I should have that done. I need to go do that. I'm going to go to a spa day next Friday or this Friday coming up. So it's going to be a fancy spa. It's not just like a healing spa. I mean, the healing studio is not fancy. It's soothing. It's for healing work.
It's more specific.
Yeah.
Like you're coming here to get this type of.
Yeah. And you're not necessarily like coming to take your clothes off and walk around in a robe while you drink fruit water,
Not coming to, but some do. Like that.
So, I don't know that your father has been as into any of this stuff as me. So I'm kind of curious, did you ever feel like your dad was against what we were doing, or he just didn't care, or?
It seemed like he would be, he just wasn't as adamant an advocate for it. Because I think he didn't really know as much about it, but I think it was more that he didn't really know than he didn't want us to. It never felt like there was opposition to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I do think he uses the manifestation. I was trying to move certain ways. Manifestation stuff in order to make things happen in his life, so I think that there can be some definite, I think he's listened and I think sometimes he definitely uses my techniques to manifest things and in successful ways, although he does sometimes, I feel like still kind of a no, that's not going to work kind of. Sometimes I feel like he's a little heavier about things.
I think when, as Brian would say, like this part of your brain kicks in, then it takes away, because I think you really need that emotional part of the energy work to work. Because if you're looking at it from a logical perspective, we can't tell that stuff exists. We can't tell that it's doing anything because most people's senses are limited.
Well, okay, that's an interesting statement. So you can't tell that it's working. How do you know it is? I mean, I think you can tell that it's working. Maybe it's not the same though as like eating a hamburger and you can taste it and touch it and see it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think that energy work is a different realm of existence. So we have 5 senses, right? I think that all of that stuff is not one of our senses. I think
well, it is one of mine.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's one of yours.
We have this small attunement to it, but I think that it is just like this whole realm of existence that we can't see.
So if you had to use your own money and your own mind to pick a healing modality that you have tried that you like, which one would you pick?
That's a good question. I think it's one of help versus one of comfort, because I think that if you're getting physical stuff done, that's one of comfort, and if you're getting more mental stuff done, then that's one of you want to change the way you think. I don't know. It's just really hard to pick, because I think I really liked the neuro whatever
modulation technique.
I think I really noticed like huge differences in the way I felt.
I don't think there's I don't think there's that many people doing it, which is, I mean, it's almost means maybe you should go get trained in it so that you can do it. I'm not kidding. I don't think very many people are doing it. So it might, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I've never run across anybody but him. And it's a whole program and it's a whole system. It's a computer thing. So it's not like it's brand new or his made up thing. He's trained in it, and it is like doing something to the system. So
the way that he would describe it to me is it's retooling your body to fix itself. And it's giving your mind the tools to do that and telling it and identifying the problems to your body.
Yeah.
And going in your brain and being like, this is the problem right here. This is the problem right here. You got to work on that. And it really worked.
So, I feel like, projecting way, way, way into the future, if you had your own children, how would you want to introduce them to this stuff or not introduce them, or would it be?
The way you introduced us was great.
Yeah.
Starting with, because I think that you kind of set yourself up with the tools for it by having the kids class. And it was the grounding and the protection as the first two things to focus on. That's all I needed to focus on for energy work, and it worked for me. And I think that was the best way to introduce it.
Okay, so you liked the messages I taught in kids class.
Yeah, and I think that was like evident proof to me.
Well, because I did some physical things to the kiddos to show them what their energy was doing.
Couldn't push us over, or if we couldn't keep our arm up,
right?
That was very helpful to like actually have this physical thing. Like, yeah, this is real.
Yeah. I know I'm being asked to do kids class again, and I haven't yet figured out how I'm going to do that. Oh, there's so many things. So, well, and I wonder, I wonder if growing up knowing some of this, I don't know. I definitely feel like, I mean, we told some funny stories about, things that have happened with your psychic skills, but I'm wondering if we could, in a, upcoming episode, talk more about, what you were allowed to see or talk about when you weren't with me.
Like just like surrounding energy work, like with family, maybe.
Not just family, but like also, I mean, like friends at school and things like that. I mean, I think it's a little different now. I think although, I mean, we did talk a little bit about this last time when we were talking about kind of relationships and kind of coming out in the energy world, that this is not, I mean, it's not just accepted.
Yeah. But the way that the best way to get it is with confidence, is what I found. Is if you're like, yes, of course, this is a thing. How have you not heard of this thing? Then people are more like, oh, okay, not like, oh, you're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the way any of us present anything, if we do it with confidence, it gets more accepted. But yeah, I mean, I guess because I do think that it's hard still for people to understand what energy healing is and how to actually go get it and what to look for. Your brother had this healing called, I think it's just called pranic healing once, where he was little and just it was this technique where she was waving her hands in his aura and putting it into water, like, and the whole time your brother's just kind of looking at me like, is this what's happening? But we were exchanging a bunch of psychic information, and some of what we were doing is she was pulling us apart. So he was probably 7 or 8, and she was separating us so we weren't so enmeshed. And he was nervous about that. And he, kind of energetically was like looking at me from across the room, like, it's okay that this woman's doing this to me. So, I don't know if he'd remember that or not, but it's interesting. I mean, you guys have definitely spent a lot of, you've had to trust your mother. I say, let's do this, and you have to trust me. I don't know that you've always trusted me.
Yeah, I've done everything that whenever you're like, you want to get this different type of therapy, I'm like, yeah, of course.
Oh, goodness.
I think you called me while you were teaching a class and you were trying to get me to pick up for like 10 minutes so one of your students could practice on me.
Oh, yeah. I know, because somebody didn't show up, and so I was trying to scramble and find somebody. Yeah. You're a go-to person. I can get you to get a reading. All right. So what should we talk about next time?
We could talk more about the stigma around the energy industry.
Yeah, let's talk about stigma. Let's talk about it and how you've experienced it, and maybe how I experienced it with me growing up too, and that kind of stuff.
And kind of the difference between how I experience it, just like being like, this is what this is to college students, and I'm just like, I have these crystals and I know this technique, versus like coming in as an energy healer and as a business.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's, some people have said things like, you shouldn't charge for this if it's a natural gift, but that's like telling somebody, you've studied heart surgery and you shouldn't charge because you can do it and somebody needs it. Anyway. All right, let's do that. So we're going to talk about stigma and what it is about, what it's been like for you, what you've experienced versus what I've experienced. All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. And if you're listening to us later and you want to shoot us some comments, feel free. We are open to topic suggestions and questions as well. And we appreciate you so much. Take care, you guys.